All right, we're going to start here in like 3, 2, 1. You ready?
Yep.
Steve's like.
Is Steve trying not to fart?
What's that red light?
I can
I
feel
think
your
the
cheeks
mothership has
clenching.
come home.
Welcome back to the Digital Entrepreneur Show. This is the show where we talk about how you can start, run, and grow your very own small business, be it online and off, using digital technology like social media, websites, blogs, YouTube, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. Tim Knox here, my co-host, as usual, Professor Nez. Nez, how are you?
Excellent, Tim. Good to see you guys.
And Steve, how are you? Steve Gamlin.
Doing good. Hey there, guys. Hello, audience.
Steve Gamlin, ladies and gentlemen. And the audience doesn't know this, but we actually just recorded about 35 minutes of us just shooting the crap, and it's some of the best video. So I'm just going to release that as this episode.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, look at Nez. Nez is like, oh, no.
Now I'm really sweating.
To protect anyone.
You got Steve whining about protecting his brand. You got Nez being compared to dog feces. And then you got everybody and their mother hating me. Why wouldn't we release that video, guys?
Oh,
Come
my
on.
God.
Okay. All right. We'll do a show.
Separate playlist, please.
If you'd like to see
Way down at the bottom.
Way down at the bottom where nobody can see it.
No, if you want to order a copy of the lost video, click the link below. So,
Not a bad idea.
Anyway, guys, shall we do a show for real then? If you won't let me release the blooper reel? The Uber Duper reel? All right. Cut. All right, let's do a show. We're just going to keep.
Did you guys just hear the cat meowing in the background? Did it pick it up?
My dogs are out there howling at the moon, going, "These three crazy."
All right.
So,
Our brand is over. Our brand is totally over.
Oh, screw the brand. What are we going to do? Run off the 30 subscribers that we have?
You know, Gord is going to leave us. I feel like Gord's going to leave us.
You know, we've got one guy commenting. What's he going to do?
And he's from Canada, so that's like 1.3 comments for every time he hits enter. Gotta convert it.
Oh, okay. There's another 10 minutes for the blooper reel. So, you guys think I'm bullshit, and I'm actually going to post this video.
Everybody's Wi-Fi signal in my neighborhood is dimming because of what we're doing.
The show started 2 minutes and 37 seconds ago. So, hey, anyway, let's do get on topic because it is very important because there are literally ones of people out there waiting to hear what we have to say. So let's just get on to it. So how you guys been doing? You've been busy. We actually skipped last week because I had some work come up. Nez, I know you had a big 4th with the family, and Steve, you've been off doing weddings and fun stuff like that. So miss talking to you guys. I think that's why we're so giddy. We're like buddies that get back together after a while and drink and talk about our wives. And
I feel drunk. And all I've been drinking is water.
All right.
Put each other in a headlock and say, I love you, man.
Yeah. In the 3 minutes that we have left, I thought we would address there's you guys know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, of course, influencer, yes. Social media guy, very successful entrepreneur. He had released a video recently on YouTube, and basically the crux of the video was if you are not full-time, you are not an entrepreneur. Meaning that I think his argument was, well, if you're not willing to bet the farm and let everything go and jump in it, you're really not an entrepreneur. And I've seen a lot of comments who agree with him and a lot of comments who disagree. And I am one of the in the disagreement camp. So I thought we would, since obviously we have nothing else to talk about today, let's talk a little bit about that. Steve, let me start with you. Do you think that someone has to be full-time to be an entrepreneur?
No, I do not, especially if you're a person who values security. You do not want to chuck it all. You do not want to bet the farm, especially if you're married when you do this and you make the decision to quit your full-time job to go be self-employed. And why can I say this without even having to ponder? Because I did it.
Yeah. You hit a couple of
years ago, and I'll tell you what, I don't recommend that approach.
Yeah. Well, you hit a couple of good points there. And Gord, Gord, I've got Gord on the brain.
Oh no.
Nez, you're a family guy.
Hey, Gord is better than dog feces. I'll take Gord.
Yes, me too. Without
slightly.
We love you,
Gord.
You, Gord. Yeah, Nez, you kind of walk that line though, because you are an academic. You teach in several colleges there, but you're also an entrepreneur. And just because you're not a full-time entrepreneur, I don't think that.
I'm not a full-time professor either.
Yeah, well, that explains a lot of your students, but. But no, seriously, all kidding aside.
Seriously, yeah.
A little bit about that, because you're a part-time professor, a part-time entrepreneur, but if you go by, I think, Gary Vee's standards, you would not be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So first of all, I do love Gary. I think what he's done and what he represents is fantastic, and he's really spread the message of putting in the work and not being fooled by, sort of flights of fancy and imaginary posts, thinking that you can just, start an Instagram account and all of a sudden you become this influencer or millionaire. I do like that approach. Now, me, I'm what you would call, I love what Owen Video kind of tagged me as this, an entrepreneurial professor, somebody who works at so many different places, but I'm not really full-time. I'm kind of like a full-time, part-time. Mm-hmm. But I think the video, just to get on the video was specifically towards, I think, people who don't have the luxury, okay? People like Steve, you and me, like, we don't have the luxury to be like, oh yeah, I'll just say F it to my bills and F it to everything and just go full time in this endeavor. I really think the video was pointed towards and targeted to the young people who maybe are not married with kids, having mortgages, having bills, but actually have the luxury to fail, have the luxury to take risks. If you're a 40-year-old or post 40 and you've got a full-time gig, but you've got entrepreneurial tendencies, which is what he mentioned in the video, then it completely makes sense. And it's really just semantics anyway. I actually effing hate the word entrepreneur. It's so funny because when Tim decided, Tim didn't decide it, but we were coming up with ideas on what to name the show. Just the fact that entrepreneurs in the title wasn't, excuse me, I wasn't crazy about it, even though I understand the SEO of it. And I understand that it really relates to a lot of people, especially now. And it's just smart business, really. But, it's just a word. It doesn't mean anything. Are you somebody who feels that you have the power to really deliver something of value and have people pay for it? Can you convert? Can you make sales? At the end of the day, it's not about fancy cars. It's not about fancy posts. It's not about fancy videos. It's about really doing something for yourself. It's about economic freedom and having the guts, right? Having the courage. And as Tim would say, have the balls to go all out.
I do call it like I see it. Not that I want to see your balls, but you know what I'm saying. But and again, I get so much backlash because I'm not a huge Gary Vee fan. I don't drink the Kool-Aid. I do respect what he's done. I respect the business that he's built. If you want to call it an issue, my issue with Gary Vaynerchuk and a lot of the people, Grant Cardone, they reach a certain level of success, and all of a sudden it's like they are the oracles of the world. And I will listen to you if you want to talk to me about how you built your business and, how you did this. But when you start giving me life advice, that's when I and hell, we see this on the YouTube guys. You get 25, 30,000 followers, and all of a sudden you're the goddamn Maharaji walking around telling people how to act. I'm not a fan of that. So there is that. But what I see, I am a full-time entrepreneur. I have not held a job in 30 years. Everything I do is my own making. It's my own business, whether it's, I have my publishing and editing business now. Before that, I did software consulting. Before that, I had a software business. And before I went full-time, I was part-time for, 2 years. But I considered myself an entrepreneur because I was, as Steve said, relying on the security of someone else giving me a paycheck while I was working, from 5 o'clock at night till, 2, 3, 4 in the morning while I was working on building my business. So on that day when I walked into my boss's office and quit to go full time, did that make me any more of an entrepreneur than I already was? I don't think it did. Now, let me say this really quickly, Steve. There is a big gap between an entrepreneur and a hobbyist. someone who
definitely
has a little sideline business, maybe just as a hobby, you know, there's a delineation there. I think the other thing, and Steve, I'm going to let you talk, is a true entrepreneur is one who works toward that goal of becoming a full-time entrepreneur. Whether they, you know, it takes them a year, 2 years, whatever. To me, that's someone who is working toward that goal of taking the leap. If you're just happy with your little side business, you know, maybe you're not so much an entrepreneur. Steve?
Yeah, I've just always called myself self-employed and not an entrepreneur.
Well, see, I hate that term because that sounds like I've just given myself a job. And the IRS.
No, I do it because I can't spell entrepreneur, so I just say self-employed.
Entrepreneur.
Go ahead, Steve.
Entrepreneur.
No, I you know, and I agree with that. There are a lot of people out there who just do a little thing for a little side income to either break even, or they just do something, even if they lose a little money at it, because it's fun. And that's what kills me when some people say, well, what you do is fun. It's not really a business.
Right.
Okay.
It can't be both.
First off, up yours because it's work. But you know, what in Nez touched on this earlier, whatever you're doing, just create value. Or like Larry said in the interview, Tim, you know, generate sales, generate revenue, doing whatever it is you do. And you are an entrepreneur. If you're out there doing something for yourself and you have a plan to actually make it profitable or actually derive some revenue from it, in my opinion, you're an entrepreneur. You don't have to chuck the rest of your life and just jump off the bridge and hope the parachute opens, because I did it that way and it sucks.
Well, I mean, that's why so many entrepreneurs fail. I did it too.
Yeah.
You know, when I started my first business and I quit my good, comfy government job and dove headlong into that business without realizing that, boy, I was not ready. I was not prepared. I didn't know what the hell, Nez, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. You know, I had read some business books. I had read the Entrepreneur Magazine. I thought I knew it all. And then within a month of jumping out there, taking the leap, I was wondering how I was going to pay the bills. And you know what I did? I went right back to my boss, who was kind enough to give me my old job back, which paid the bills for 2 years while I worked part-time on that business and learned everything that I thought I knew 2 years before. So I think a lot of it, Nez, don't you think it has to do with preparedness more than anything?
Yeah, and it's also, comparisons are just crap, I think. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Everybody's journey, everybody's path, everybody's process is completely different. So, you know, I mean, who cares, right? I mean, literally, like, who cares? Like, are you doing something that enables you to take care of you, your family? Are you excited? Are you happy about it? Okay, if not, do something about it. If, you know, I know, like, people like my dad, you know, my dad is not cut out to be an entrepreneur, you know, and we kind of talked about this in a previous show, having that mentality of, you know, seizing opportunities, like really having the sort of radar, like when we like I love Tim and Steve's brains. I mean, we see things or we talk about things. It's a mindset. I said the wrong thing. Well, it's better than saying balls. But, you know, Steve, you know,
it's where like, my brain happens to be.
Like, if you take, exactly. If you take an entrepreneur and somebody who's not, and you have them see the same thing, you're getting two vastly different perspectives. The entrepreneur will see opportunity, whereas the other person may just say, hey, that's a cool commercial, right? Or that's a cool product, or, hey, that's a cool little device. You know, so it's like, just really understand. It's ridiculous to compare, and nobody's the same, and everybody's got their own gig. And, you know, Gary started off with his family business, you know, his liquor business. His dad owned a liquor store. You could almost say that's the greatest university, is real. I mean, I think here's my best advice for anybody listening and watching. Do it. Just do it. Right. And don't think that I don't think you have to give up anything. You've got 24 hours in a day. You need 6 or 7 of those to sleep. Take advantage of the time that you're not at your full-time job. Create. And hopefully, if you work hard enough, I think it is feasible to turn that into your side hustle, into your full-time hustle. If it's just a hobby and you're selling stuff on eBay and you're making a couple grand a month, God bless you. Okay. I don't know if that makes you, I don't even know. Does that make you an entrepreneur? Does it not? I don't even know. To me, it's really a DNA factor. It's a mentality. It's a way of looking at things. It's a way of operating as a human being that makes you an entrepreneur. And I don't know, that's just my take.
No, I think you're right on. I think it just comes down to labels, because I know a lot of people who do have this, you know, the side hustle, which I hate that fucking word too. It's a side business, for Christ's sake. But if like I know in my entrepreneurial classes, I had a lot of people who would have they made soap at home, or they made candles, or they did this and they did that, and they would sell it on eBay or Etsy. And you would ask them, are you an entrepreneur? And they'd go, well, no, that's just my little side business. I'm just doing that to bring in a little extra money. So I think, Steve, it really comes down to labels. Do you want to label yourself as an entrepreneur? But in my mind, again, a true entrepreneur in the definition of the word is someone who is on that path toward full-time, self-sufficient entrepreneurship. And I'm with you guys. I'm so tired of that word I can't see straight. But Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, working towards it. Yeah, I think that's a really good approach, in a way to kind of help define it.
Right.
Because if it's just your little side hobby or something, hey, that's great. Just keep doing that forever. But if your goal is to get to the point where you can do what you do full time, there's some people who walk the path, and there's other people like me who jump off Comfort Mountain and land on their skull in the path, and all of a sudden, hey, I'm an entrepreneur.
That explains a lot.
That was I know, doesn't it? The airbags weren't off.
Yeah.
But I think that's it's
gotta
just
get Steve a helmet.
And my whole thing is I don't want to work for anybody else. That's just never
right.
I've worked for some great people, and I've worked for some not so great people. And my reasoning for it may not be as good or as solid as other people's. I bailed out and didn't have any plan yet. I had a part-time self-employment DJ business that was grossing about $11,000 at the time a year. And that's when I decided to be self-employed.
Nez?
I think nope. And here maybe this might be a great kind of sort of macro overall thing. It's like if you anybody listening and watching, if you find yourself in every single position that you've had, every single job that you've had, you do feel suffocated. Mm-hmm. You do feel like, gosh, these people it's like the thought of going into work and listening to your BOSS drives you nuts and mad. Explore that. Just explore that. And like, as Tim said, you may have to go back, but so what? You know what I mean? Like, it's not a glorified position. You know what? I love what Larry said. You're not free as an entrepreneur. It's not freedom. Now that I've been getting my digital consulting business going in these past, 18 months, literally, I'm not even kidding you boys. I'm more busy. My brain is more congested.
Yeah.
I'm more a slave, if you will. If people call the 9-to-5 a slave grind. It's not freedom in the sense that you're just coasting, right? It's almost like you're working even harder, and you're at the behest of everybody, your customers, your clients.
Oh yeah. So many people think that once you do start your own business and you become an entrepreneur, that, you've got all this freedom and you've got this, and we were talking about this before this show. I haven't had a day off in weeks. I worked on the
holidays,
4th of July, the 3rd of July. My business is booming, and it's the old thing. My mom, she always said, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it.
There you go.
And it's like a dog catching a car. Okay, what do I do with it when I catch it?
It's not coconuts and yachts. People think it's coconuts and yachts.
Coconuts
it's just
and
not.
Yachts. I like that.
That's a good title.
It's like unicorns and rainbows. Nez. Well, the point of it is if you are, whatever you consider yourself to be a part-time, full-time entrepreneur, if you're doing it thinking that you're going to obtain this freedom, and that's the word. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Well, I want to be free. I want to be my own boss. Well, you know what? When you're your own boss, the word boss is still there. But you're just more responsible.
Your clients are your bosses.
I have more bosses now than I've ever had in my life. My business is booming. So
exactly.
That's what I think. That's what it comes down to. And a lot of it, if you knew, Steve, if you knew now or back when what you know now, would you have started your own business, or would you have just found a good job and held on to it tightly?
I still would have started it, but I would not have done it the way I did it.
What would you have done differently?
I would have spent a little more time studying what it was going to take to be successful when you are king of a one-man mountain, because I had no clue. Business plans, how much money everything was going to cost. I burnt through a $30,000 line of credit very quickly, and I was not even ready to roll yet.
Yeah.
Half of it was building this studio, and I just learned everything as I went.
That wood's expensive. We've talked.
Get your money back.
I know. But I
got a warranty on that wood.
I've got wallpaper that'll cover that.
Yeah.
And
I wish I had taken more time and studied a
worth
bit
of
more.
wallpaper there.
This cost me 35 cents.
Well, you know what Dave Ramsey calls that sort of thing stupid tax. You know, you jumped out, you did something, it was stupid, you paid your tax, you get up and move on. You know, we've all made those mistakes. We did an entire show, I think it's coming out, probably already out by now, on the mistakes that entrepreneurs make. And one of the biggest mistakes was to jump out there too soon and spend a ton of money on things you didn't need.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, we started this conversation talking about Gary Vaynerchuk's definition of entrepreneur, you know, and I think again, you could be part-time, full-time. It really comes down to mindset. It comes down to your mentality. You know, I think it comes down to where do you see yourself? What's the long game? As you know what I mean? It's not,
yeah.
You talk about, you're always scolding me because I think in 5-minute increments and you think long-term. You know? So talk a little bit about the end game.
Okay. So I wonder how you guys think about this, because here, everybody listening and watching, here's another thing. I freaking love it. Like, I love the process. I love writing invoice. I know that sounds crazy. I love writing invoices.
Yeah.
I love sending them. I love seeing that, getting that email. This client just, you know, I love getting on the phone and closing somebody. I love helping people. I love sharing my sort of background and my context. And it in some way, I know that Tim and Steve may find this hard to believe. It actually helps people, but you know, I love it. So if you don't love you will go into a major nervous breakdown and depression fit. If you think like Tim said it, you know, it's not going to be coconuts and yachts. That's for sure. And if you think it's going to be like that, if you hate the process, if you hate getting on the phone, if you hate reaching out, if you hate doing it takes a lot of legwork. If you don't love the process, it's going to be a real quick, you know, run. And you're going to lose very fast, I think. You have to love it.
And don't forget to order your Coconut and Yacht t-shirt. Click the link.
Exactly.
Below.
We'll leave that. Hey, everybody do your
Coconuts and Yachts.
Coconuts and yachts down below.
Well, you know, here's a thing that, and I remember this. I had been pretty successful in business for a long time. And I started another business, and this was years ago, and it was an internet marketing business. It was back when, you know, before you could sell things online, you basically could take orders online. And Steve, you know this, we've talked about, you could fulfill them. You know, you had to go buy envelopes and pack stuff. And so I had been in the software business for a long time, and I decided, okay, I'm going to try this internet marketing thing. So I wrote a book on, I think it was 101 things to sell on eBay. It was a complete fluff piece. You know, it took me 5 minutes to write, and I was selling it for like $9, right? And when you bought it, I literally would burn you a DVD, stick it in an envelope, and mail it to you. Okay. I was a really successful entrepreneur when I started that business, and I will never forget the day. It was in this office. I got my first order. And I'm running through the house going, I sold a CD. I sold it. And my wife's like, really? How much? And I'm like, it was $9. And she's like, what? Why are you so happy? And I'm like, you don't understand. I've proven the concept. Someone gave me money.
Yes.
And that's one thing we talk about on this. You do not have a business until someone is willing to exchange money for whatever it is you are selling or giving away, whether it's part-time, full-time, whatever. So again, Steve, my argument is that it really doesn't matter the number of hours you put into it. It all comes down to mindset. You may be a hobbyist. You may, you know, have a little part-time gig on the side, or you may be an entrepreneur who is struggling to make that part-time gig a full-time gig.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and until the money starts rolling in.
Come on, give me more. Come on.
It was a dramatic pause.
I love that.
A serious dramatic pause.
I ramble for 5 minutes and just, I mean, this is Einstein level shit here. And Steve goes, yep. Oh, you guys.
No, there is nothing like, you know, and I've done that dance through the house when that first copy of the book sells. And even back in the early Amazon days, you know, I had a book for $9.95. They kept 55% of the price. So I made like $3 when it was all said and done. But every single time that thing went ding and I got $3 in my account,
greatest feeling
jumping
on
up
earth.
and down because it validated, even at a very small level, what I was doing added value to somebody. And it generated something out there where people wanted a piece of you. and they invested in you, whether it was a book. Hey, every time I'm on stage at the end of a speaking event, somebody hands me a very nice check. And I look at it, and the numbers don't matter to me. The fact that somebody invested in me and I was able to go out there and do something I absolutely love doing, and someone paid me to do it, that is the greatest thrill. And it makes, I mean, my time on stage is the minority of my time of building and owning a speaking business.
Yeah.
I mean, a fraction of a percent. But every other piece of crap thing I've got to do that some of my hate is all worth it when I get on a stage in front of several hundred people, do what I do, they enjoy it, and then they pay me for it. And that makes everything else worth it.
It's
as
validation.
A person who's self-employed.
It's validation. Nez?
I remember selling my first Kindle book, and that feeling of like, holy mackerel, I got $4.
Yeah.
Like it was a Kindle. It was a Kindle. It was
kids were going to dinner.
I mean, like it was amazing. But then here's what I wanted to ask you guys, because I totally relate to what you and Tim and Steve. What the hell are your guys' names again? I totally relate to that feeling of like, it didn't matter if it was a quarter, it didn't matter if it was 1 cent or $10. That first initial like exchange was just absolutely thrilling. But I want to ask you guys, do you remember when you closed the first sale of like a high price item or product or service? That feeling is like insanity. And everybody watching and listening, you will get there. Yeah. It's everybody's, even Gary Vaynerchuk, everybody started off with that, pennies and pittance of sales, even though I don't want to call it pittance. It was amazing. I loved every second of it. But when you first close that high priced item or service or good or what have you, oh my God, that is literally ecstasy.
Yep. Let me ask you this, Steve. We, believe it or not, we beat this dead horse almost 27 minutes.
Wow.
Before we go, Nez, you brought up the fact that Gary Vaynerchuk started in his dad's liquor store. Steve, do you think if he did not have that going for him, he would be where he is today? If he
I don't think he'd be where he is today, but knowing his backstory and kind of he was very driven before that. I mean, he did the baseball cards at the weekend shows at the mall and all these things. Yeah. He had that mindset, but I don't think. I mean, what a great testing ground his dad's liquor store was, because it let him come into a business that was already kind of successful,
right? And
try stuff out. He was a young enough guy that he says, he goes, anything I did, I could always recover from it.
Yeah.
And it became the greatest learning ground for him. So I don't know that he would be where he is now with mythical proportions, but I think he would be successful at whatever he tried to do.
Yeah, I think he would have been. Yeah, I think he would be successful. Where he would be, I don't know. But you see guys like him, and even Trump, who came out of the womb rich and had that. Right. I think what happens with Trump and with Gary Vaynerchuk, they took that underlying foundation and then just blew the socks off of it. I mean, Vaynerchuk really built that little liquor store into something amazing. Trump did the same thing. So I don't think it hurt to be born with that somewhat silver spoon in the mouth. But I think, and again, I don't have any issue really with Gary Vaynerchuk. I have respect for everything he's done. I just get tired of people telling me how I should live my life to be happy. And in 30 seconds, Nez, I'm going to give you the last chance to do just that.
Here's how you get happy. You ready? No. I think that it all comes down to this, really don't compare yourself to anybody else. You define who you are. And I really do think that people are, here's how you be happy. I think people are stifled by what other people think. And if you start really putting all of your investment in what other people think, if they're your ideal client, okay, if they're your customer, bravo. But people like to say, in essence, what we're doing right now, we're trying to kind of define who Gary is or who he isn't. It doesn't really matter. So what really matters is, are you doing something, okay, that you feel as Tim said, which I love, are you working towards something? Are you excited about the process? Because it is a process, and it may even be until your last dying breath. If you don't love the process, you will die a very quick death. That's what I think. I couldn't hear you at all.
What I said was I love ending the show on a high note. You basically said you're dead. You're dead. Hey guys, we would love to hear what you have to say. Forget the quality of this show and focus more on the quantity of the content.
Hopefully you got a good laugh.
Leave us comments below. What do you think? Do you think you have to be full-time to be considered an entrepreneur? Are you a part-timer who considers yourself an entrepreneur? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to click the subscribe button and ring our bell so you're notified every time we do this, because God forbid you miss this fiasco of entertainment. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it. Tim Knox, Professor Ned, Steve GAMLIN. Guys, we'll see you next time.
See ya.